I always say it's the things that you don't track that eat up all of your money. For example, most people know how much they pay for rent or their house payment. They know if they have a car payment. They know if, utility bills, they know what those things are. But when it comes to, I went to the restaurant yesterday, I went to McDonald's the day before, I stopped at the gas station, got gas, but I also bought, $7 worth of items every single day from the gas station. It's all of those things that people aren't tracking that that's where they get lost. So the first step is to know where and how you're spending your money so that you can adjust from that, because without that you can't do anything else.
To know where and how you are spending the money. That is very important for me. That means now we are probably talking about mindset, having a good orientation about financial literacy. Let's just put it the way it is. It's about financial literacy, understanding how money work. But how do we really get started for people who do not have an idea about mentalities, this mindset shift? So I don't know if you want to recommend some few things for us on what people should do so that they can get better control of their money. Using your own words, you must know how and where you are spending your money. I think this is really vital.
You have to find the problem in order to fix the problem, and the problem in most cases is the spending, the habits, the way that we spend our money. When you do this, you may find, wow, I really don't make enough money. Maybe I need to cut out some of these things and or look for additional employment where I can earn more money. But it literally all starts there. And one of the things that happens with every one of my clients, every single one, when they do this exercise, they have their own what I call aha moments, right? Where I don't have to tell you where you're spending too much money because you see it. And you say, you know what? I can't stop at the gas station on my way to work every single day and buy the cups of coffee and the donuts because it's costing me too much money. Or I can't do, fast food for the family every single night. We need to, go to the store, buy groceries and cook at home. So you get to see where you need to make changes and someone else isn't telling you what to do. Because sometimes we don't like to be told we don't like to be told what to do. But when you go through that and you look at where you're spending your money, you see, and then you get to determine, you know what? I can't keep doing that. And then the process is to then take that money that you were wasting and spending on these other things and reallocate them into places that make more sense and will better serve you. I think one of the biggest issues is, I mean, we can go back to what we haven't been taught, right? So we wind up being reactive instead of proactive, meaning we're going back and trying to fix a problem instead of having the knowledge up front so that the problem never arises. So that's one thing, right? Again, that goes back to us being taught when we're children. If we're taught when we're children and that's how we grow up, then we don't have these problems as adults, because you can see what happens when we don't teach it to the children. They grow up, they have these problems. So then you spend several years trying to fix the problem after you finally decided to face the problem. The other issue is just society in general. Society says you have to look a certain way, you have to drive a certain car, you have to wear certain clothes, you have to have certain things. And every bit of that more money out of your pocket. So um, we buy into this notion that the things we have gives us status and determines our worth as other people see us. Now, I'm not saying you are not supposed to have the things, because that's part of life, enjoying those things that you want to have. But when the need to have those things is greater than the need for your freedom, that's where you have the problem. And that's where, you know, collectively we're $880 billion in credit card debt. That's where you see people living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck is the number one financial lifestyle in America. So that's where you have all of those problems. So um, until you go back and do that exercise and look at why you are spending the way that you're spending and being proactive as opposed to reactive, you're going to continue in that cycle. Um, and then there's a mindset, the mindset that we have been taught, um, that we can't talk about money, um, where they, quote the scripture that says money is the root of all evil. And they're misquoting it because it says the love of money is the root of all evil. And then um, how we've been taught to, well, you're not supposed to talk about it and you will have your prosperity and your greatness when you die. And it's like, but we living in this life all of these years, we're supposed to be able to have greatness and prosperity here. And so I think the other thing is we have to unlearn a lot of what we've been learned, and I mean what we've been taught, that have been taught to us um, in a way to oppress us. So we have to let, I'm sorry, say again. Yeah, 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 yeah. We have to talk about it. And, you know, what are we really teaching our children? So even if they're not learning it in school, they have to learn what they learn from somewhere. And at some point, we have to want better for the next generation and the generations that follow after that, which means we have to do something differently now. But we're passing down these same things to our future generations, which means they're going to have the same financial issues or worse, because now it's getting, it's going from generation to generation, and we wind up being at the mercy of others that don't look like us, who have all of the money and therefore have all of the control.
Money is control. I sort of get that very, very clearly. Thank you for sharing that. But those who have the money, they control everything because you want to make investment, you want to buy anything, you want to invest in some property or things like that. Of course, you're going to need money, and money is very important here. That is why within the diaspora community, we need to be talking more about that. But just so I can get this a little bit clearer, for the people that you are working with, for the women you are working with, I don't know if you want to share with me some of the opinion that you have of them, and when they talk to you about their problem, about their challenges, their difficulty related to money, and how these might be tied into the conversation that we have in the community. What do you have to share about that?
We do have to take a step back though to what you said earlier about mindset, right? You have to go back and figure out what's truly important for you. Remember, I said you're supposed to have all of the things. Money is a source of freedom. However, the way that so many people live, they're not free. And when I talk about free, what I mean is they have so much debt, or they have all of these different bills because they have all of these different things, and their need to have more and more things, some of which they can't afford anyway, which keeps you in a constant state of, I have to go to work, I have to go to work, I have to go to work, right? I have to go to work to pay for all of the things that I've accumulated, but I can't even enjoy the things that I've accumulated because I have to work so many hours in order to be able to pay for the things that I accumulate. And then I continue to accumulate more and more things, which means I have to work more and more hours. So you wind up being on this constant treadmill or wheel of insanity, right? And I don't think it matters. I don't think the first process is us knowing how money works. I think the first step is figuring out what's truly important to the individual and why.